President Trump spent days trying to get his party and the country to move past the Jeffrey Epstein files. He's pleaded with his supporters, he's bargained with them, he's called them privately on the phone, he's publicly rebuked them, so far to no avail. And the Justice Department's abrupt decision last night to fire Maureen Comey, one of the lead prosecutors in the Epstein case, whose last name certainly rings a bell, it doesn't seem to be doing the trick either. She got no explanation for her removal, but the timing is odd, to say the least. Last night, in an interview on a right-wing network, the president repeated his, frankly, ludicrous claim that the Epstein story was manufactured by Democrats as a way to get him, and that perhaps federal investigators would look at it from that angle.
I think they could look at all of it. It's all the same scam. They could look at this Jeffrey Epstein hoax also, because that's the same stuff. That's all put out by Democrats.
Yeah.
And, some of the naive Republicans fall right into line like they always do. They just don't have the sustainability. They don't have they don't have that stick to it like glue. The Democrats, they have bad policy. They have bad candidates. They have bad everything. But they stick together. I think it's in the case of Epstein, they've already looked at it, and they are looking at it. And I think all they have to do is put out anything credible. But, that was run by the Biden administration for 4 years. I can imagine what they put into files.
Just to emphasize, there's no evidence of about what the president just said about the Democrats. Let's talk a lot more about this and learn more from a terrific group of reporters we have here at the table. CNN's David Chalian, Sabrina Rodriguez of The Washington Post, Zolan Kano-Youngs of The New York Times, and CNN's Paula Reed. David Chalian, I'm going to start with you. It's really remarkable to continue day after day to see President Trump try to squash this. And the more he tries, the worse it gets with his very own base.
Yes, and when we say base, this isn't even with necessarily his base of voters, but this very powerful, vocal, influential group of MAGA communicators, right? That throughout Donald Trump's entire time leading this movement have taken their marching orders from him. I mean, so what notes he wants them to play, they sort of play, and we're seeing this moment where that is not the case right now, and that is coupled with Donald Trump, who is usually a master at sort of framing a narrative and setting the course, and he can't shake this story because his plea to shake it is in this cycle. Usually he's very savvy in understanding that, and now he himself is perpetuating it.
And you can see him trying real time to layer other conspiracies on top of the one that his people, more his people than he, put out there about Jeffrey Epstein. And the dog's not hunting so far. I want to talk about Maureen Comey, because this is chilling, potentially. Talk about what we know about the reason she was fired. Again, she is a career prosecutor. She worked on the Epstein case. She also worked on the Diddy case.
Yep, that's right.
What are you hearing?
So at least one source familiar suggests the Justice Department believed that it was untenable to have her continue to work there since her father is constantly attacking the administration. All right, we've seen that before. We've seen them fire people because they believe they're not on board ideologically, or they've been working on investigations related to President Trump. But the timing here is incredibly suspicious because James Comey has been railing against President Trump since he was fired in the last Trump administration. This is nothing new, and this comes at a time that the administration is under enormous pressure to release additional files in the Epstein investigation. So the question this raises is this somehow retaliation for something that happened behind the scenes with Epstein, or are you laying the groundwork to try to pin this on her father and or her, the Comey family? We've already seen the president laying the groundwork for this in Truth Social posts, as you noted, just completely divorced from reality, suggesting that this was all created by Hillary Clinton, James Comey, former President Obama, when in fact it's been the president's supporters who have, in some cases, raise legitimate questions.
By the way, wasn't he convicted during the Trump administration the last time?
When you say he was convicted, Jeffrey Epstein,
yes.
That investigation was ongoing. He, of course, died in prison under the Trump administration.
Right.
And Bill Barr was one overseeing the Bureau of Prisons.
That's right. He was prosecuted, not convicted, of course. He never was. You work for the New York Times, and your colleagues just got a little bit more reporting on this Maureen Comey situation.
That's right. We're all still looking for details here on the exact reasoning of her firing. What my colleagues are reporting now, though, is that Maureen Comey has sent an email to her colleagues and really expressing a warning of what this event amounted to. She said in this email, if a career prosecutor can be fired without reason, fear may seep into the decisions of those who remain. She went on to say, do not let that happen. She would later call fear, quote, the tool of a tyrant wielded to suppress independent thought. I mean, that seems like a much broader warning about the dynamics right now of our government. We've talked often about how much retribution is at the center of this administration's policies as well. And here, that singling out that word of fear here, I find that to be interesting and something to track here. Again, we're going to be looking for the exact reasoning of this. We know that in her firing, Article 2 was mentioned, and that obviously goes straight to the powers of the president as well, which is something to keep an eye on as well.
We're also seeing, Democrats try and capitalize on this moment that has been really interesting. We've seen them in the last 6 months of the Trump administration try, whether it was with his arguments and his public fights with Elon Musk, whether it was with the attack on Iran, them trying to sort of capitalize. But here is a moment that just yesterday, talking to Democratic strategists, they were saying, wait, we have an opportunity here because this is organically online everywhere. So this is a chance for us to really push on this point and really touch on this sensitive point to see these huge influencers not in the president's corner on this.
And we're going to, I think that is so fascinating, Sabrina. We're going to talk a little bit more about the Democrats' decision to jump in as opposed to staying on the sidelines. But just kind of, again, back to the question and the discussion and the reality of how much this story has penetrated into pop culture and to just culture. And it's the thing that people are talking about. If there were still water coolers, that this is what people would be talking about
There
around.
are still water coolers
Are
somewhere.
there?
I think
Water
so.
filters. Yeah.
Okay, it's just filtered
Similar
water.
but modern. Yeah.
Let's listen to what Shane Gillis, who was a comedian, said at the ESPYs last night.
Actually, there was supposed to be an Epstein joke here, but as it got deleted. Must have probably deleted itself, right? Probably never existed, actually. Let's move on as a country and ignore that.
And by the way, Shane Gillis is not known as a lefty liberal.
No, but good comedy, right?
Yeah, of
I
course.
understand how to play in the headlines. I think one of the most interesting aspects to me is that one of the hallmarks of this Trump administration has been from the very beginning that he knows his way around the office now, right? He's far more comfortable in the job than he was in the first term. He's far more comfortable and knowledgeable about what levers of power to pull, and he's staffed in a way that was going to be committed to him being comfortable with that. And this is the first time in these 6 months, I think, that we see him not comfortable. He's off his game. So I think that's why we see him go into the well of it's Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Jim Comey. Like he is off his footing here.
And I'll add another dynamic that maybe an old trick that has worked for him in the past, which is the art of distraction. Just for some examples, the ex-FBI director, the father of the woman we're talking about, and ex-CIA director Brennan are suddenly under investigation by the Trump Justice Department. That's according to CNN reporting. Right when this was really blowing up over the weekend, the president put a long post out about revoking Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship. I mean, that's really a deep cut, as the kids say, going back, 10 years. And then he's talking about whether he would fire Jerome Powell or not. Now, that's actually something that is a real policy issue, but getting it out there is certainly something that people can talk about without talking about Epstein.